Think you know the myths of ancient Egypt? How about a universe born from divine onanism? A god of wisdom who came into being because his old man accidentally ate his nephew's sperm in a salad, and a king of the gods whose dismembered body, complete with a golden prosthetic dick, was resurrected for one night only just to have sex? Forget everything you learned in history class. Now you're going to learn the real, dirty, insane truth about the gods of Egypt, the story they tried to hide from you. Their birth was disgusting, so you thought that intro was rough. Folks, that was just an appetizer, a teaser trailer for the real trashy B-horror movie. Because now we're diving into the very beginning, into the sticky, filthy, and disgusting divine sludge that, according to the Egyptians, started it all. They don't teach you this in the textbooks. They show you pictures, majestic gods, gold, beautiful hieroglyphs. Yeah, right? Forget it. The truth is way more visceral. Okay, picture it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, just a primordial, murky, bottomless ocean of chaos. None, and out of this goo, the first god emerges Adam. He's alone, utterly alone in the infinite void. Bored, lonely. What's a guy to do? Well, you know, when a guy's alone and he's bored. Let's just say Adam didn't reinvent the wheel. He just finished into his own hand. Yep, you heard that right. The first act of creation in the universe, according to one of the main versions, was divine masturbation. And from this, seed, which he then swallowed, he hawked up the first god Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. Just like that, two great deities, the foundation of everything, born from an act of self-pleasure in an ocean of chaos. A powerful start, but you think the divine weirdness stopped there? Oh no, that was just the starter pack. Let's fast forward a bit to the story of Thoth, the god of wisdom. You think he was born of meditation from a ray of light? Not a chance. His birth was the result of one of the most humiliating pranks in mythological history. See, there was this eternal beef, the god Horus versus his uncle, the god of chaos, Seth. They were constantly pulling shit on each other. And at one point, Horus, shall we say, got his hands on some of Seth's single quotes seed. Then, during a feast, he slipped it into Seth's salad. Literally smeared it on the lettuce leaves. Seth, being a pretty dense and straightforward god, chomped down on that salad with a crunch, none the wiser. Swallowed it. Humiliation complete. But wait, there's more. Horus's seed, now inside Seth, began to develop. Imagine that headache. Not just a migraine, but the kind where it feels like someone is trying to punch their way out of your skull. And then bam, bursting from his forehead, literally cracking the bone with a sickening squelch, a new god emerges. The one and only Thoth, the god of wisdom. Born from revenge, deception, and well, you get it. Popped out of the head of the god of chaos after he accidentally ate his nephew's spunk. Now that's an origin story for wisdom. They definitely don't show you that at the museum exhibit. And the cherry on this cake of filth and absurdity, there's another creation myth. About the god Amun. Forget Adam, forget Seth. Now Amun is on the scene, and what was he at the very beginning? A majestic creator? Nope, he was a goose. Yes, a giant, cosmic, honking goose. They even called him the Great Honker, and this goose lays a cosmic egg. One enormous egg, and then get this. He turns into a snake with the head of a ram, just so you can appreciate the full surrealism. And this ram-headed snake fertilizes the very egg he laid as a goose. Can you even picture that? It's a script for some art house horror film, not a sacred text. This this is the foundation the entire pantheon was built on. Creation through onanism, the birth of the god of wisdom from a humiliating prank, cosmic engineering by a goose snake. And you still wonder why their history is full of blood, incest, and betrayal. With a start like that, what else could you expect from them? Oh, believe me, when these gods started interacting with each other and with humans, it got worse. So much worse, but that's for the next part. Don't touch that dial. His body was hacked to pieces, then put back together still with me. Good, because now we're about to dive into filth so deep, it'll make stories about snakes and scorpions look like a bedtime story. So, let's meet the main attraction of today's freak show, the king of the gods, Osiris. In the history books, they paint him as this noble, wise ruler. Yeah, sure. Here's what they woe and tell you in school. The skin of this noble king was either green or black. And no, it wasn't because he was an avatar or ODD on spinach. That, my friends, is the color of decay. The color of a rotting corpse. Symbolic, isn't it? Right from the start, they're hinting that things are going to end very, very badly for this guy. Like any star, Osiris had a hater, his own brother, Seth, the god of the desert, chaos, and, let's be honest, just a complete and utter asshole. While Osiris ruled, Egypt flourished, the Nile flooded, everyone was happy. And Seth just sat in his desert, grinding his teeth with envy. You know how it is in families. One brother gets everything, the throne, the glory, the beautiful wife, while the other gets nothing but sand in his shorts and a crushing inferiority complex. Sooner or later, that spring was bound to snap, and snap it did. Seth threw a banquet. Invited all the gods, his brother Osiris, poured him some wine, and then rolled out a lavish sarcophagus and announced whoever it fits gets to keep it. A typical prank from a cheap comedy, right? Except our genius, Osiris, decided to try it on. He lay down inside. It was a perfect fit. In that instant, Seth and his cronies slammed the lid shut, nailed it down, and poured molten lead over it just to be sure. Then they hurled the whole coffin right into the Nile. But wait, there's more. You think he just drowned his brother? Ha! Too simple, too merciful. Seth later found the sarcophagus, dragged out his brother's already rotting body, and this is where things get truly insane. He didn't just kill him. He took a knife, and he started cutting. Can you imagine that sound? The crunch of bone? He hacked his own brother's body into 14 pieces. 14. And then, like some psycho serial killer, he scattered the parts all over Egypt. An arm in one city, a leg in another, the torso in the swamps of the Nile Delta, so no one could ever put him back together again. And now his wife, Isis, enters the scene. The poor woman, heartbroken, sets off on the most gruesome scavenger hunt in history. Picture it. She's wandering the country through swamps and deserts, looking for pieces of her husband. Over there, in the mud, is his hand, already gnawed on by jackals. Over there, in the reeds, floats his head with its empty eye sockets. She gathers it all, washes off the slime and pus, trying to assemble this bloody jigsaw puzzle. What's it like to carry the rotting remains of the one you loved? The stench, the flies, the cold, dead flesh you. And so, she found 13 pieces. She had almost all of her husband back. But she was missing the most important part, the most essential part for a man and for continuing the dynasty, his penis. Turns out, Seth had thrown the part into the Nile, and it was immediately devoured by a fish. A catfish or an oxyrhynchus. The Egyptians, by the way, stopped eating that fish afterward. Can you imagine the level of humiliation? You're not just murdered and dismembered. Your dick becomes lunch for some stupid fish. This isn't just murder, it's cosmic level humiliation. So what does Isis do? She doesn't give up. Using magic, she creates a new one for him. A golden, magical prosthesis, and now the cherry on top of this perverse sundae. She assembles the body, attaches the golden phallus, and with powerful spells, resurrects him. But not so. He can return to life, get revenge on his brother, and be king again. Oh no, she resurrects him for one single moment. Just long enough for him to impregnate her. Just let that image sink in. A corpse glued together from rotting pieces with a golden dick prosthesis comes to life for a few minutes to engage in what is essentially necrophilic sex with his wife to conceive an heir. And you know the craziest part? It worked. A child was born from this. Ahem. Union. A child conceived from a dead father and a desperate mother. A child who would grow up with one single thought in his head. Revenge. Bloody, terrible revenge against his Uncle Seth. And believe me, the family showdown that followed makes Game of Thrones look like a school play. But more on that next time. Don't miss it. It's going to be a bloodbath. The divine family was a tangle of betrayal and incest, all right? You buckled up. I promised you a bloodbath, and I'm a man of my word. But before we dive into the crunch of bone and the death rattles, let's pause for a second. To understand the full scale of this bloody mess, this hatred that drove one brother not just to kill, but to dismember another, we need to get under this divine family's skin. Right down to their DNA. They won't tell you this in the history books, where the Egyptian gods are just some noble folks in gold posing against the pyramids. Everything is prim and proper there, but the truth, as usual, is dirty, smelly, and reeks of incest. Let's start at the very top. The creator god, Adam. He has his first kids, Shu and Tefnut, the god of air and the goddess of moisture. And you know what? No dating, no brides from neighboring pantheons. Dad just decided, why don't you two kids get married? Brother and sister, the first divine couple. End of story. Think that's an exception, a youthful mistake. Ha! Their children, Geb and Nut, the god of the earth and the goddess of the sky, were also Tada, brother and sister, and of course, they had children together too. Are you seeing a pattern here? This isn't a family tree. It's a goddamn family wreath looping back on itself. Generation after generation, they were just marinating in their own genetic swamp. And that brings us to our main characters. Osiris the handsome, popular one, king of all Egypt. And who's he married to? That's right, his stunning sister, Isis. And who's the one who kills him in a jealous rage, shoves him in a box, and kicks him into the Nile? His very own baby brother, Set. Just picture the scene. This isn't just some Game of Thrones style palace intrigue, a chess match of who outplays who. This is the stench of stale blood, suffocating rooms where everyone is a relative, a lover, and an enemy, all at once, where your wife is your sister and your archenemy is your brother. Set's jealousy isn't just envy for the throne. It's a poison that's been brewing for generations in this genetic dead end. He watched his brothers sleep with their shared sister, watched them rule together, while he, Set, was always second fiddle. That hatred festered inside him like an open wound teeming with maggots, humiliation, lust, envy. It all got shaken into one vile cocktail. So now you see why this is more than just a fight for the crown. This is the bursting of a boil that's been swelling since the dawn of time. This is the finale of a bloody family saga where the stakes aren't just power, their total, utter annihilation. And little Horus, the product of incest and vengeance, is already sharpening his blade. He carries all of his family's filth inside him, and he's about to shove it right back in his uncle's face. See you in the next episode. There will be blood, lots of it. The world was constantly on the brink of destruction. All right, buckled up. I promised you blood, didn't I? And plenty of it. And right now, you're probably thinking we're about to get to the part where young Horus guts his uncle Set. How he's going to get revenge for his father, for his humiliated mother, for the whole shit show he grew up in. Wrong. I mean, yeah, we'll get to that, but hold on. While those two are getting ready for their Tarantino-style showdown, there's something you need to understand. Something they don't teach you in those dry-as-dust Egyptology lectures. You see, while this whole steroid-fueled soap opera of a family was fighting over the throne, their entire world, this little sandbox called ancient Egypt, was already hanging by a thread. A very thin thread. They all lived with the feeling that tomorrow might literally not come. And it wasn't just one threat. There were three. Three global, goddamn ways everything could go to shit. Threat number one, the Creator himself. Grandpa Adam, the same God who, if you remember, basically vomited or sneezed out the first gods. Well, this dear old dad built a self-destruct button into his creation from day one. He said it himself, swore an oath that one day he'd get sick of it all these gods, humans, crocodiles, family squabbles, incest, and he would simply uncreate the world. Wipe the whole damn slate clean and return the planet to the primordial, churning, foul chaos he himself crawled out of. Imagine the architect who built your house telling you, by the way, I packed a few tons of sefer into the foundation. You know, just in case I decide, I don't like the design anymore. That's the thought Egyptians lived with every single day. That their creator was a fickle old man who could hit delete at any moment. Threat number two. Every single night, while you're sleeping, while the gods are plotting, the sun god Ra sails his barge through the underworld. And waiting for him down, there is Him, Apophis, a giant cosmic serpent, the embodiment of chaos and darkness. And this serpent has one goal, to eat the sun, to just swallow Ra and his boat hole. If he succeeds, that's it. Game over. Creation gets canceled. Eternal darkness, eternal cold, eternal death. This battle happens every night. Every night, the world holds its breath while old man Ra fights off this beast. And while he's up there, saving the universe by the skin of his teeth, down on Earth his great-grandchildren can't decide who gets the throne. Talk about irony. And finally, threat number three, the cherry on top of this robbing cake. Remember Osiris. Our good, just king, the one so brutally murdered and dismembered by his own brother. Well, after becoming the lord of the underworld, our good Osiris seems to have gotten a little bitter. His kingdom, the Do-It, is no paradise. It's a gloomy, monster-filled hellscape. And Osiris, sitting on his throne amidst moaning souls and decaying demons, has the other gods by the balls. He threatened them outright. One more screw-up, one more injustice, and I open the gates. I'll unleash my entire army of the undead on you, all those eyeless, many-limbed horrors that will devour you, your people, and your whole precious world of the living. Oh yeah, the noble martyr had turned into a cosmic blackmailer, sitting on the button for a full-blown zombie apocalypse. So, what's the score? A world its own creator wants to reboot. A cosmic serpent trying to eat it every night. And a bitter god of the dead blackmailing everyone with the threat of hell on Earth. And into this fragile, barely breathing world storm hour to meatheads, Horus and Set. One blinded by a lust for power, the other by a lust for revenge. They think their brawl is just a family matter, but they don't get one thing. Their fight is the spark that could light the whole powder keg. It's the nudge that could shatter the fragile balance and trigger all three doomsday scenarios at once, and they're about to strike the match. See you then. Their powers were truly insane and terrifying. So, you're back. Thought I was exaggerating when I talked about the end of the world over one family spat. Thought it was just a metaphor. Oh, you could not be more wrong. For you to understand why their little tiff isn't just broken dishes and yelling in the kitchen, but a one-way ticket to oblivion for all of existence, we need to look under the hood of these guys to get who we're really dealing with, because these aren't just gods. These are walking, talking concepts that can turn reality inside out with a snap of their fingers. Let's start with Amun. What did they tell you about him in school? God of the air, the wind ... patron of Thebes. Blah, 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 snooze fest. Now for the truth, they don't print in dusty textbooks. Imagine a force that isn't just everywhere, it is everywhere. Like the air you breathe, only this air has a consciousness. And it can suffocate you at any moment by simply ceasing to be in your lungs. He's invisible. He's silent. He's inside you and outside you at the same time. This isn't a god sitting on a cloud. This is the cloud, the air, the very emptiness between atoms that could, at any second, decide it doesn't like you anymore. But that's not all. When Amun got tired of being an invisible force, he could manifest. And you know how, as a giant, goddamn, cosmic goose. Yeah, don't laugh. Picture a creature the size of a galaxy. And this goose lets out its first cry. And that cry isn't just a sound. It's the first vibration from which all matter was born. Our entire universe, all the stars, the planets, you, me, we all literally started with a honk. That's the kind of power someone is about to go up against. Or take Thoth, the god of wisdom, of writing. You know, the ancient Egyptian nerd who taught people how to scribble. Cute, right? Now let's look at his side gig. His, let's call it, hobby. Every single dead person passed through him personally. Imagine, you've died. Your entire life, all your dirty, shameful little secrets you hid even from yourself. All of it is on one side of a scale. On the other, the feather of truth. And this god of wisdom, this nerd, stares into your empty eye sockets and decides if a monster devours your soul or if you get an eternity of bliss. One betrayal, one grimy thought that outweighs that feather, and that's it. Crunch. Your soul, your very self, gets fed to a monster like some kind of expired can of Spam. And it's not some impersonal system that does it. It's him, personally. That's his brand of wisdom, humiliating and final. But the cherry on this cake of insanity is, of course, Ra. With him, it's even simpler and even more terrifying. Being Amun's enemy is a bad time. Being Thoth's enemy is humiliating, but being Ra's enemy, that means being an enemy of reality itself. Get it? He won't just kill you. No, he will erase the very fact of your existence. Your parents won't remember you because you were never born. Your house will vanish because you never built it. Every act, every word, all of it will be cut from the fabric of time like a cancerous tumor. You don't just die, you become an error. A glitch in the matrix that just got patched. And there won't even be a corpse left to rot. There will be a no thing left of you. Now, put it all together. An invisible, suffocating force, a cosmic judge of souls, and a walking antivirus for reality. And these three, or their descendants, their avatars, whatever, they're about to throw down right in the middle of our fragile little world. This won't be a battle, it'll be a system crash. A full reboot with a hard drive wipe, and you and I. We're just dust on that hard drive. So yeah, the match has been lit. Now we just wait for it to burn down to the fingers. So forget everything they spoon-fed you in school. The Egyptian gods weren't wise rulers. They were a bunch of cosmic psychos ready to burn this universe down just for the hell of it. If you want to keep ripping the masks off of respectable myths and learn the stuff the textbooks won't touch, you know what to do. Smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next bloodbath. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and tell me what other respectable mythology we should tear into next. The Greeks, the Norse, the Sumerians. Whose skeletons do you want to see dragged out of the closet? Catch you later.